parasites on the nation. And I must also add that the productive sector of our economy are the young people. And these young people, they don't use siren, they don't use convoys, and also they are not even captured in the economic indices of our country. Let me give you a simple analogy how doomed this country is. You see, among the police, only 13,000 police officers are engaged in fighting banditry and terrorist activities. 13,000. But go to the first CID, go and check. You can even use FOI to check this. 130,000 are following big men up and down. 130,000 are following big men up and down. In the Senate alone, and that's Senate and House of Reps alone, there are 3,600 police people attached to these jobless senators and House of Rep people. Why will insecurity not persist in the country? If you see one small boy, just because he does Yahoo, he commands 4 or 5 policemen. That's why the country is fucked. I'm sorry to use the word, the F word. The country is doomed for real, and there's no coming back from it. Any nation where the police, the SSS, the army are subcontracted to politicians instead of policing the nation can never work. Forget about this cosmetic surgery and all these things. And believe me, as we are here, I can assure you that there are more than 200 conferences going on in Abuja right now. Nothing comes out of these conferences. Absolutely nothing. If you go to Merit House, if you go to Transcorp, if you go to Sheraton, if you go to Ibro Hotel, even here, I think there are about 4 or 5 conferences going on here today. These are conferences, you print conference material, they do flyer, they do banner, we are wasting time in this country. Nigeria needs active citizens who will just wake up early in the morning on a fateful Wednesday or Thursday or Friday and occupy the entire nation and demand for reform and demand that these armed robbers, these buccaneers who are in the National Assembly, that they must stop stealing. A situation where you have the national budget and 80% of the national budget is stolen. Is stolen. Blatantly stolen. And you expect me, you tell me that things can work. A situation where in a country somebody stands in a church and says lion carried him on his back, and people actually believe. People believe. So how do you want such a nation to work? And again, can you really blame them? You can't blame them, because go and check all nations of the earth where governments have failed, people turn to God and religion. That's why you see people. Are you not surprised that Nigerians are calling on God of Israel, but Israel is calling on Iron Dome for protection? So, having said that, it's also important to say that if not for social media, where will we have been able to see the akpabios of this world that will tell citizens and insult them that while you are protesting, I'll be eaten? You know, if not for social media, how will we have seen Yabelo resisting arrest by EFCC? If not for social media, how will we have been able to see the First Lady fooling around planting something in her backyard, and that is the only way to develop an economy? If not for social media, how will we have been able to know the abracadabra of Dangote and the NNPC and all their wuru-wuru? If not for social media, how will we have been able to see the miracle of Off Your Mic? You remember when the other man was accused of stealing 80-something billion naira, And he suddenly, immediately they started asking him questions in the National Assembly. He fainted. You know, if not for social media, how will we have been able to see the exposure of tribal bigots online? Who tells Igbos not to vote in Lagos in their own country on election day? If not for social media, how will we have been able to see the level of brigandry during elections and electioneering, where Edo election is just coming up in a few days. The last election in Edo, a reporter was reporting that APC is sharing 5,000. PDP is sharing 5,000. Everybody is collecting and everybody is happy. If not for social media, how will we have been able to see those unethical practices? Again, if not for social media, how will we have been able to see the young man from China who exposes corruption and skill, the lecturer from Kano, Dambelo, who is Tinubu's friend? If not for social media, how will we have been able to see that? If not for social media, how will we have been able to see the APC national chairman, Gandola, stuffing his Babariga with dollars? This is what they want to regulate. Don't allow them to regulate social media. Social media remains the conscience of the citizenry. If not for social media, how will you have been able to know that they have renamed Nigeria Federal Republic of Rice? Every problem, they believe that rice is the solution. If not for social media, finally, I know my time is up, and I'm so sorry. If not for social media, how will we have been able to harness the power and the dynamism of the youth during End SARS, End Bad Governance, and other social changing events? Social media has become a tool of mobilization. The reason why the government is so scared and why they did everything humanly possible to stop protests and agitation is because they know. And the reason why they target social media is because they know the power that social media wields, and they intend to stop the power. And in closing, if not for social media, how will we have been able to know all the exposures of corruption in the society?
I recognize the former Vice President of Nigeria and my leader, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. All other protocols duly. Mine is a very simple one. Let me start by thanking the organization for inviting me. As you know, I'm one of those strongest beneficiaries of the judiciary. For my strong legal team, for the work of my small level team led by Dr. Onyechi Bazu, SAN, and led OJ Nadi, SAN, I wouldn't be standing here. You know that from my election petition to my impeachment to my tenure interpretation. And again, whenever people talk about corruption in the legal or in the judiciary, and one who takes exception, in all this journey, I did not give anybody 1 naira. So for me, I remain eternally grateful to you for what you did for me to be here and everything. Our topic today is democratic transition in the 21st century Nigeria, 2023 and beyond. I think it's for great people like you or people like Chimamanda invited, but for me as a trader, I'll try to contribute in my own little way, the way I think we should go. For me, democracy have a simple description. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. That means everything about democracy is the people. And transition means changing from one thing to the other. And for me, Nigeria needs urgent transition from being a highly insecure country to a secure country, from a disunited country to a united country, from corruption to a transparent country, from a country of lawlessness to a country of law and order. But in all this, it is important that we look at where we are today for people to understand the gravity of the journey we are going to take if we are going to transit. Where are we today? Nigeria have qualified to be a failed state. We have met the 2 or 3 biggest characteristics of a failed state. Number 1 is when you're no longer in charge of your territory. Today, we are among the top terrorized countries of the world. We are among the top kidnapping countries of the world. Banditry, criminality, bandits have taken over some parts of this country. Nigerians are being killed daily. All sorts of criminality is going on daily. Even our most important source of foreign exchange revenue, oil, is today 80% stolen. That shows how bad it is. We are the only country, apart from Venezuela, who we know is their own is because of sanctions, that is not meeting up its OPEC quota. Every other country is begging for increase, but Nigeria is not meeting up its own. And you wouldn't believe the quantity that is missing. In July alone, our total average, our quota is 1.8 million. In July, our total average was 1,083,000 barrels a day. That means that in July, we lost 707,000 barrels per day. If you multiply that by 31 days, it will give you 22,227 barrels of oil that we lost. This is a country that needs dollar. If you sell it, if you sell that oil, if you sell the quantity we lost, this is July alone. If you sell it at the average price of $110, it will give you $2,450,000,000, which at our rate of exchange of 550, you lost. If you use 550, because I used an average of 550, you've lost 1,344,700,000,000 naira. That is your country. That's what you lost in 1 month because of stealing. It is important that we know this. Number two item to show that we are failed state is that you are no longer in control of your economy. Your economy today, we have an economy where we have over 100 million people living in poverty. Your unemployment is one of the worst in the world because you have a combined unemployment of 50%, unemployment and underemployment. Out of 200 million Nigerians, 60% is supposed to be working. So you're supposed to have 120 million Nigerians working, but today Nigerians that are working are under 50 million. So 70-something million of Nigerians are not working, they are not productive. When you compare this to your productivity, you will see how low it is. But what is even worse, we're in a physical mess, total physical mess. Because of all this, between January this year and April, the total revenue of federal government of Nigeria is 1,630,000,000,000 naira. Their expenditure is 4,720,000,000,000. If you minus this, we have a deficit of 3.3 trillion 100 billion. That shows Almost 20% to almost 200% is the deficit. And this is the crisis you face. How did we come here? It's a cumulative effect of leadership failure over the years. Because it's 10%, I'll stop here, I would have talked about power. How did we come here? What are we going to do very quickly to come out of this? Very quickly, you need to have a visionary, articulated, competent leadership to start turning around this. So next year, the time is up. I'll take it that next year, the election you're going to have next year will not be about, remember, it is not about tribe, no religion, not connection, not entitlement. It must be election about character, competence, capacity, and commitment to deliver.
I'm going to start with Nigeria. And the reason I'm going to tell you the little that I can about Nigeria is because somebody says if we jump from a story building, you will not be as wounded as if you are pushed. Because when you jump, you prepared for the landing. Everything God is saying, send around one little sentence, which interestingly I heard from those who are dramatizing, even though they don't know what they are saying. You can write this in capital letters. The wind is blowing. And so you should include in your prayer that the wind will blow you good. Because the wind is blowing. It's already blowing. And you can't stop the wind. As far as Nigeria is concerned, my beloved children, things will get worse before it gets better. Mark my word. That's what Daddy says. We're already complaining that things are hot, huh? The good news is the wind is already blowing. As it's going to get a bit hotter before it begins to cool down. That's what Daddy told me. Oh, that's not what I want to tell you. That's not what I would love to hear. But that's what he said. It will get worse before it gets better. Talking about Nigeria. Because the wind is blowing. Let me hear you say the wind is blowing. Say it as if you believe it. Some serious secrets will come to the open. You know, the elders have a proverb. If the wind blows, you will see the anus of the chicken. Tell your friend the wind is blowing. I think I better run away from Nigeria. What I mean by run away, I mean from prophecies concerning Nigeria. Don't lose hope. Because the wind is blowing, it means sooner or later things will get cool.
I have good news for you. You will win. It's been written.
I am what I am by the grace of God. As long as that grace does not fail, Satan will never win.
This revival you see will not be aborted.